For a recent holiday with friends and family, we decided after much discussion to go to Dalat, Vietnam, just a short hop from our home in Bangkok. I had mixed feelings because I had been there before, although that was almost 20 years ago. Either way, I was happy to be traveling. This posed a question as well. Can you learn something from going somewhere you have been, as opposed to going someplace new? Last time I was here, I was a young backpacker. Things have changed a lot since then. Dalat is located in the central highlands of Vietnam, with a cool climate perfect for agriculture. It is especially known for its fine produce, including artichokes and the strange-tasting artichoke tea. There is also wine and coffee production here. Returning here with a new perspective, I learned much about Dalat. Dalat is a relatively young city, founded by French colonialists in the early 20th century as an escape from the heat of the lowlands of the country. My first trip here, I stayed in a tiny budget hostel shared with other travelers. Older, and with a slightly larger budget, we stayed in a French villa with a history that mirrors that of the city. These villas were built and lived in by the French around the time of the city's founding in the 1920s. This lasted until the 1950s, when the French were expelled by the Vietnamese and the country split into the north and south. That French influence is still seen in the architecture, food, and culture of Vietnam. The Dalat train station is one example. After the end of French colonialism, these were owned by wealthy South Vietnamese through the Vietnam War. Times were tough after the war in the 1970s. These were turned over to officials from the north who filled them with as many people as possible. Eventually, they became run down and unlived in until their recent renovation. Having learned more about the city's history, I also wanted to compare Dalat since my last visit here. Over the last couple of decades, Vietnam has grown quickly. 20 years ago, Dalat was a sleepy little town with not much going on. It has grown much since then. The population alone has increased by about 50% compared to my visit 20 years ago. By day, I was still reminded of the sleepy town that I visited before. There are, however, many more amenities for visitors, including great restaurants, bars, and cafes. That's hot chocolate, by the way, not coffee. The biggest difference occurred in the evenings. The city was really transformed. We took a nighttime stroll and were surprised to see the whole town out and about around 9 o'clock at night. There was a real sense of energy and community. There were many young people about as well, which is not surprising as Vietnam has the youngest demographic of any Southeast Asian country. We found out that this happens every night, holiday or not, when local residents get together, drink sweetened soy milk, eat pancakes, and talk about their day. Besides what I've already mentioned, Dalat has a lot to offer in the way of natural settings. Chinese-influenced pagodas. And a famous, more modern landmark, the architecturally bizarre Crazy House Hotel. And no, we did not stay there this time. On this trip, I found out that you can learn from going someplace that you have visited before. It is not necessarily important where you go, but what you observe, experience, and who you share the time with while you are there that makes traveling somewhere worthwhile.